It was definitely a golf day at the thrifts. Everybody, Cary here. I am about to go in the DI Deseret Industry thrift store here in Utah, and then afterwards I'm going to hit up the Savers thrift store and see if I can't find some treasures to flip online. Let's go and see what I find. I typically always start at the DI, even though the DI, Goodwill, and Savers are all next to each other, and the DI is in the middle, but I always start at the DI. Hopefully I got a lucky cart today. Heading to the plushes and the video games, that's where I usually start my thrift journey out. Take a quick glance at all the video games. It looks like the same stuff they've had recently, just nothing of any note, unfortunately. Then the plushes. I can always find an item or two in the plush section. Just look how many there are. That is a vintage, albeit a little beat up, pound puppy cat. It is a vintage one. I'm going to go ahead and buy it, pick it up. I think it was $1. I probably can get about 10 or 12 bucks. I have another pound puppy. I might put them together and sell them in a lot. Let's keep going and see what we find. This looked interesting. I like owl stuff, but it was a no-name brand, I believe. I see out of the corner of my eye a Simba. I believe it's Simba from The Lion King. There we go. It's a bigger one, too. $4 is a little pricey, but it's a bigger one. I just love Disney stuff. I'm going to take a chance on this one. Not 100% sure offhand what it'll go for, but I'm gonna buy it. I'm going to see what I can do with it, and hopefully I definitely will make a profit. I'm just not sure how much of a profit. Going to the toy section. I love to look for action figures, my number one thing. The toy bags with action figures are the best. They don't typically have that at the DI, but if you can find Marvel Legends, DC Multiverse figures, those are great. A lot of times I can find Imaginext stuff here, hopefully in bags, because that's where you're going to get the best value. But there's nothing in the toy section today. Off to the knick-knack kind of collectible section. This is where I'm going to find bobbleheads. I'm going to find Disney snow globes, Disney statues, stuff like that. Today, I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff, but it's a whole bunch of nada. Nothing of note, nothing of any real value that I see. As they say in the business, don't sleep on hats. They're wildly uncomfortable, and also, usually, you can find some that have some value. I always look for snapbacks in particular, sports, pop culture, vintage. I thought about that Avalanche hat, but at $3 I decided to pass. Some good vintage sports brands to look out for snapback-wise. Logo, Athletic, Twins Enterprises, and Pro Players come to mind. Off to the electronics, I have not found much in this area, the electronics and the, where you can find the blenders and everything. I'm not finding much lately in there. I used to pick up those Pac-Mans all the time. I wanted to get this Batman, but he's missing both his hands and also just has so many marks and scratches. If he had his hands, I'd deal with the marks and scratches. I might have still even been able to make money in the condition that it was in, but I decided to pass. Not super easy to ship either. Today was a golf club day. There was a ton, and I mean a ton of new golf clubs today. I'm not an expert on these. I'm still learning. I just went through and I looked a lot of them up. There was nothing super obvious like Ping or Cobra. Most of this stuff was vintage, but I did find several that seemed to be worth about $12 to maybe $25 a piece. There was like this vintage tailor-made one right there, $2. I should do pretty well on that one. I think that one was maybe $20, $25 plus shipping. I found about 5 of these Golden Bear irons. I believe the Golden Bear was Jack Nicklaus, so this was his line. It's a vintage line. I'm not sure how vintage, but I looked them up. It looks like they were doing well on their own, and they'll do even better in lots. Mizuno, I do well selling the shoes. I looked that up, and I think it was over $20 plus shipping. The great thing about all these clubs, and the reason why I bought so many, being kind of a novice at this, is they were $2 a piece. So I tried anything I saw right around $12 or $15 on up. It's important in this business, vitally important to be willing to learn new things. I'm comfortable with toys. I'm comfortable with plushes. I'm comfortable with sports cards, but I need to learn new things so that I can, be able to do better and better. And one of those new things I've been focusing on, as well as golf clubs, is shoes. I've been finding a lot and selling a few. I've been personally selling lately, shoe-wise, is Hoka's, Brooks, Mizuno, stuff like that, running shoes. I've gotten some On Cloud, some Nike lately, so hopefully I'll start to branch out what I'm finding and what I'm selling. Those are some cons right there. Let's see what else we got in here. I saw this pair of Nikes the other day. I looked it up. I couldn't find much on it. I don't think it was worth it. If you see any pairs of shoes here or anything in general that I'm missing, please let me know. Spider-Man shirt, pretty generic, but long sleeve. I decided to pass on that. And let's see if there's anything else. I always like going around this rack. This is kind of like the sportswear stuff. So if there is any jerseys, oftentimes you're going to find them here. So I did find some golf clubs. That's not historically what I've been selling, but it's something that's new. It's something that's exciting. I found a bunch. It looked like most of them were in the probably about $12 to $25 range plus shipping. I mean, I'd buy pretty much anything at that price when I'm getting them for $2 a piece. So we're going to see how they go. I got a couple that I found, 4 or 5 irons from the set, so that should help move it, I hope. But I'm excited about it. That's something different, something new, and I'm branching out and learning new things. I'm now at Savers. I was here yesterday, had really good luck. I don't know what that means for today. Hopefully it means I'll get some more great stuff. So the other day when I did a video, I'm not sure if it was here on Instagram or YouTube, of me thrifting this section, somebody mentioned that I overlooked a Snoopy pumpkin cookie jar. So I went back the next day and picked it up for $5, and I sold it pretty quickly to a follower. So thank you for that. Thanks for the heads up. I made a little money off that, so I appreciate it. This is kind of the collectibles knick-knack area. There's also the collectible case and the stuff they deem a little higher end behind this, but this is where I go typically first because I can find bobbleheads, I can find statues, I can find cool and interesting stuff. This was neat. Seems semi-vintage. $9.99, though I didn't even bother to look it up at that price. Here is a ray gun mug. Pretty cool. It was, I think, $2.99, but I decided to pass on that. Overall, there wasn't much in this section. I tell people almost always to stay away from these steins. They just don't do well, and they seem like they're going to. If it's really, really vintage, it may be worth some money, but in general, I stay away from those. A bunch of hats here. Nothing of notes. I really didn't find any hats today anywhere. There's a snapback BYU one, but it was in not the best of shape. Let's see if I have any more luck in the plush and toy section. They haven't really brought a lot of new plush out lately, and especially not a ton of new toys. We usually have a lot more toys here at the Layton Savers. I did find this one bag, though. Spider-Man, 2 Batman, and also a Clone Wars Star Wars figure. I should, at $2.99. The Spider-Man sometimes can be worth quite a bit of money. I might make anywhere from $15 to $30 plus shipping. I thought about getting this one. I'm not sure about that Transformer, but I just decided to end up passing on it. Let's see what else we can find. They put the bigger toys on this shelf. Sometimes you can find some cool newer and also vintage toys of note. This caught my eye right here. It's a bag of tech decks. They have different ones in there and some cars. $3.99. I like selling tech deck stuff, so I'm going to go ahead and pick that up. If anybody knows what this Jeep is from, I believe it's 70s. It's $9.99. I think it's the Defenders, but I'm not entirely sure. I picked up a tank recently from the same Savers for $9.99. That was the Defenders. Without knowing exactly what it's from, I didn't want to pay $10. If it was $2, $3, $4, I would have picked it up and just figured it out over time. But I decided to pass. And if anybody knows, I may go back and pick that up. It's been there for days. Sometimes I find some handheld games in here. Sometimes sports cards, a random toy bag, and also some small plushes. You never know what you might find. Today, though, in this little area, I did not find anything. Board games, I typically stay away from unless they're a really nice one or they're sealed. Onto the shoe section. Here's a pair of LeBron James shoes. I looked those up. I was getting mixed, what they were exactly, and they're a little expensive. I think they were $16. This pair doesn't at least have laces on one of the shoes, and it's $19. I think there could be money in those if they were a little less expensive, but I decided to pass. That was, I think, also $15.99 for this pair. If I should go back and get these, let me know. I'm still learning shoes. I think those were what starter. I just thought they looked cool from afar. Here we go. Some Merrells. There we go. I found something. Some Merrell shoes at a great price too, $5.99. I did use Google Lens to figure out what exact type these were, and it looks like I should be able to get around $30, $35 used plus shipping. That is the find of the day at Savers. Nothing crazy, a bread and butter find, but I can't complain, I'm happy to have found them. Here we go. Here's some Nikes, the Haruchis or whatever they're called. I looked those up. I did some research. They weren't super overpriced, but I decided to pass. This is vintage BYU. I'm not, I'd say early 2000s. I didn't figure out exactly what it was, so I decided to pass. But there might be a market for something like that, and I may have been able to make money, but I decided to pass. On to the electronics. I haven't found a ton of electronics here at this Savers lately, but this is where I found the Superman trash can randomly in the electronics section. So sometimes they do have, a video game system or two, but there's a lot of people looking. So if it's there, it might have been taken, if they're there, they're taken early. And I usually go here after the DI. So nothing of note, unfortunately. Bummer. So that wasn't the most amazing stop in the world, so I am going to go to the Goodwill as well. I go to the Goodwill maybe 2 or 3 times a month. Literally here in Layton, Utah, there's a DI, and then just to the east of it is the Savers, and to the west of it is the Goodwill, all within about a minute and a half of each other. So I'm going to go over to the Goodwill. I found some stuff there before. I don't typically find a ton. It's my least favorite of the 3 here, but if I'm out of state, I definitely go to the Goodwill more. But the DI and Savers are so good here, I oftentimes will skip the Goodwill. But let's go to the Goodwill, see if I can find some treasures. So on the other side of this car wash is the DI and the Savers, and then over here we have the Goodwill. Let's go inside, see if we can't find some treasures. This is kind of random, and I love random stuff. These are Gulfstream shirts, jet shirts of a certain Gulfstream jet. They're $1.99 each. I saw other jet shirts go for like $15 plus shipping, so I think I can get about $15 plus shipping on them. I love picking up minor league hats when I can find them. Definitely going to pick this hat up. I believe it's $1.99 as well. This is a Utah Royals snapback. It's the women's Major League Soccer team here in Utah. It's a snapback in great condition. I went ahead and picked it up as well. I thought about this new era Seattle Seahawks hat. The shape was a little bit messed up, had a little bit of dirt. I just didn't feel like dealing with it. I probably could have made a few bucks on it, but I decided to pass. Nothing else of any note or value in the hat section, so we'll go on to the toys. Historically, I haven't had a lot of luck in the toy and plush section at this Goodwill, but we'll take a gander, see if there's anything that may be of value. My favorite part is always the bagged toy section. But usually here at this Goodwill, and you're going to see this in a lot of toy bag sections, is it's going to be heavy McDonald's toys and not the vintage stuff that may have some value, but just newer stuff. They also bag up other stuff. I've sold these Stamp It Up kind of stamps before. I might have been able to make a few bucks on those bags of stamps, but I just haven't sold them for a while. Not super interested. That bag of scissors possibly could have been worth getting as well. Not a ton of money in them, but you probably could have made a few bucks. Just not interested enough. If it's sports cards or toys, I'm willing to make a few bucks sometimes, but when it's stuff I'm not as interested in, I don't do it. Looking to see if I can't find any decent pots and pans, Revereware, stuff like that. I didn't find anything today. Mugs, looking for pop culture, sports, and vintage. Kind of the same thing I'm looking for in general. But it's nothing of note. A lot of people pick up those Campbell's mugs. They don't sell well at all, unfortunately. Glassware is something I'd like to learn a little bit more about, be a little bit more well-versed in. Here's another one of these Steins. Like I said, they look cool. They're oftentimes overpriced and usually tough to sell for anything other than like $5, maybe $6, $7 plus shipping. I've had these before. This was actually in really, really good condition. Just at the price, I decided to pass. It was another borderline one. I just wasn't feeling it today, so I decided to pass on that item. The one great thing about this Goodwill is the shoe section. They affordably price their shoes, and they typically have some decent stuff. It's the main reason why I need to be coming to this Goodwill more, the shoe section. We found some Nikes right here. Are these worth anything? Let me know. I didn't bother looking them up. They're the skateboarding type. $5.99 is probably a good price. Let me know. I'll go back and pick them up tomorrow if they are worth it. Seeing if there's anything else of note. There probably is a lot of dress shoes that I'm passing up. Just not interested. I looked at these. I should have known they were like, not the best. They're Echo. I don't think that's a very good brand. So it was definitely a bread and butter day at the thrift stores. I didn't find anything amazing, but I found a lot of things I can make a solid profit on. Thankfully, this last weekend, Sunday, I went to the swap meet. I found a ton of stuff, so I have a ton of stuff to list. I love that feeling. I love having stuff to list. I also have a money pile from collections and lots that I've bought over the last couple years. So thankfully, I have plenty to list. I'm going to get to the store, list and ship, and just have an awesome day. I hope you have an awesome day as well. If you liked this video, please leave a like. And if you're not subscribed, please consider. I thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day.